Okay, I'm back with a brand new top list for Power Rangers, and we're now finally getting close to the Yellow Ranger one. Because I have been wanting to do the Yellow Ranger video, that's why I had to come back now for my hiatus. I know you missed me for doing these list of videos, but since 2021 has already started, now let's do a top 10 Yellow. So before I talk about this, the Yellow Ranger has always been, a very divisive Ranger. You have some Yellow Rangers that are male, you have plenty that are female, but in Sentai, it's pretty much, a 50-50 who is yellow and who won't be yellow. There are some Ranger teams that don't have yellow, just like, currently Dino Charge and Dino Charge and Dino Fury are the only Ranger teams that don't have a yellow member, but there have been plenty of Power Rangers that have had Yellow Rangers on their teams, and even Sentai. But Yellow Rangers have always been mostly female in our version. Sentai is 50-50. We've only had a few males if you count some of the following I'll put on this list. But I will talk about how, the Yellow Rangers are always like the least developed of the group. There have been some Yellows over the course of our franchise that have been developed over time. So as I go through my top 10s, I'm going to be fair and careful with some of my choices. I know if you don't like some of the choices I'll put on the list, feel free to say so in the comment section or drop a dislike or so if you liked my opinion of the following Yellow Rangers. Okay, so at number 10, I have to be fair because I know I was not really much of a fan of Maya, the Yellow Galaxy Ranger. She's at least a number 10 for me. I know that I may not really care for her character. I don't really care for Maya because she's the hottest yellow Power Ranger or female Power Ranger in general. I think the only aspects I only cared about Maya was her connection with the Galacta Beast and her animosity and interest for animals. Granted, she is our Yellow Ranger of the team, and one of the things I've always, of all the times I've talked back about her and talked all that crap about her being a very overrated hot female Power Ranger, I don't really care much for that. I don't really care about how beautiful and hot and sexy she is, even with her actors outside of the show. But I only liked her character because of her connection to the Galacta Beast and her going through Survivor's Guild, although she hasn't been going through much of that most of the time during Lost Galaxy, but her friendship with the other Rangers and her being the only alien of the group and having a friendship, a strong friendship with Kendrix, later Corone, and with her and Leo being the only two that were not from Terra Venture's crew, but Leo's from Earth and Maya's from Miranoi, and when her planet was turned to stone, she had to be with the Rangers. She could have been a guide or a mentor for the team, but then again, she was what she was. She was just only there just to be around it. And also another factor why I only liked her character was because of her with Galactazord. Also another thing, I have to be fair, what I do like about her is her fighting prowess when she's the Yellow Ranger. So that's pretty much all I can say about her character besides, those following attributes about her character. Number 9 is Summer. Number 9, I was going to put Summer, but I meant to mention Zoe from Power Rangers Beast Morphers, which is the last Yellow Ranger we're going to have for a while within the series because Dino Fury doesn't have a yellow member. So Zoe from our last series of Power Rangers is at number 9. I wanted to put her at like a 6 or 7, but I think as a number 9, she had some little to so development I could say about her. Who would have thought a laundry girl like Zoe would make it, to be the Yellow Ranger, although some wished Roxy was yellow, but given her evil avatar took over, well, that's probably one of the reasons why we have Zoe in the Yellow Ranger position. Plus, not to mention her, she's kind of like her Beast Bot of Jax, who is a rabbit, and you see her eating carrots, like a rabbit, and then also she had other things going on with her character, which I can't say otherwise, but she was an okay Yellow Ranger, but it's just character-wise, I mean, aside from her relationship with her mom being a news reporter, and then, all of these other things about her could have made it to that point in the list, and I wish we could have saw more of Zoe going up toe-to-toe with Roxy's evil avatar, and I just wish we had more of that with her going on as a character. Number 8 is Tanya, the Zeo and first Turbo Yellow Ranger. And Tanya, I always liked her, for her relationship with Adam, and then also her passion for singing and stuff. I know some people felt that she should have never took over Aisha's place. If Aisha was to be around for another season or so, and she took on the since Aisha had the yellow Sub-Zeo crystal to the bond with that, but since she had to stay over to Africa, that's why Tanya took over Aisha's spot. And when the Rangers went back to the normal ages, and when they found out that Aisha was left behind, then we got Tanya. And then Tanya is a story in Zeo. She was just the new girl in town, and filling in for Aisha's place. She had a very abusive boyfriend out of Sean in the early half of Zeo, and then her relationship with Adam. I actually liked it how she was as a character, but I wish there was not more I can say of. And plus, she would be a DJ once she got into Turbo, and that's all I can say for Tanya. I guess there was just not much for her to say about. Number 7 is Lily, the yellow Jungle Fury Ranger, with the speed of a cheetah, because basically I actually liked that Lily, of all of the Rangers in Jungle Fury, and perhaps the only lone female Ranger of the group. But, I actually liked it, her being the heart of the team, and plus her, her and Theo being part of the Pie-Schwa and getting the claw later, first before Casey got it. And then had Master Fant as a, to have Master Fant teach her how to use the elephant mace, the jungle mace. Plus, there was some things you could say about Lily, about what made her such a great Yellow Ranger. Although she's kind of one of the most underrated, that's why she's in the bottom list here, the bottom 5. But I really wanted to see more of Lily do stuff. And I actually liked that her actress, she pretty much gave her all with her character. I think there wasn't really much development you can give for Lily during Jungle Fury. Number 6. Okay, so number 6 for my favorite Yellow Rangers, or least favorite. I do have one Yellow Ranger that I didn't want to put on the list, but I have to, and that would have to be Gia from Megaforce, because I know that people are probably going to lob at me for not putting Gia at the very top of the list, up there with Trini or some other Yellow Ranger that's way more popular. But one of the things I don't like about Megaforce is that a lot of the characters were poorly underdeveloped, except for Robo Knight and Orion. But for the two females of Megaforce, Gia, what was great about her character, and really all her character was, she was just, I guess maybe her body language and her badass attitude is what made her such a fan favorite. I guess she didn't need a character arc, but I had to put her on the list because I had no choice, because people would lob at me for not putting her on the list if I didn't. So therefore, her friendship with Emma, and then Jake crushing on her and she crushes on Jake, I mean, that's not much you can say for her, but I wish that they could have gave Gia a character arc, so that way she could have been one of the best Yellow Rangers in the franchise if she had a character arc. But I guess people in people's world now, screw character development. Being a badass is more important than being a character, right? So yes, I have to put Gia on the list. Okay, so at number 5 is Elizabeth Z. Delgado, the yellow SPD B Squad Ranger. Like some of the other female yellows on this list, Z didn't really had much of a character arc, but there was only two things I can bring up about her that I did like. When she showed up, and when we were all introduced to all those characters back in the first 2 episodes of SPD, that being the pilot, she started off as a criminal and then decided to, turn her life around and do something better for her life by being part of SPD and being a ranger. And also, another thing I did like about her character and her attribute is that she can duplicate herself. I wish I had that kind of power like Z, where I can duplicate myself, where I could be multiple places at once. But but although that's all in fiction. And third and most off was her relationships with all of the other Rangers, especially Jack and Sydney. So there's that. Plus also that plus the two-parter with Sam, where she befriended Sam and told Sam how they're just as different as he was, and given his powers are kind of similar to theirs, and especially with hers. And pretty much all that other stuff. Plus, I also liked Z's spunky badass attitude too for a female Yellow Ranger, and that's why she is one of my favorite characters from SPD. Although, despite the limited amount of development they gave her character. Number 4 is Bronze God himself, Dustin, the Yellow Wind Ranger from Power Rangers Ninja Storm. I've always liked the Dustin, given he was our second but first male Yellow. Given that Tidius, the Yellow Equation Ranger, again, didn't have any development. He was just there. But with Dustin, I always liked his character because of his personality. I liked his character, what little bit of character development they gave him. I liked his passion for motorsports, like Hunter and Blake. But I also liked it how he was probably the more funniest of the bunch, because he was one of those comic relief Yellows that you would like to hang out with. Plus, I liked how he was plus I liked his vanity of doing what is right. And also being one of the, record managers at Kelly's music, surf spot. I was about to say, that record store we get at Mystic Force. But then again, Dustin was a great Yellow Ranger, and I actually really did like this character. Calvin from Ninja Steel on the list, but instead, rather, I would have Chip, the Yellow Mystic Force Ranger, at my 4th spot for top 10 Yellows. Like Dustin, I actually liked the Chip a whole lot. I really liked how he'll do anything what it takes to be wanting to be a superhero, and his passion for fantasy and being a hero in science fiction. He's kind of like one of those geeky male Yellow Rangers you want to be around with. And plus, one of his things about his one of the things he always liked about being a Ranger is having the cape, because Mystic Force was the first Ranger team to have capes, and like a typical superhero, mixing majestic with majestic magic with being a superhero, plus his relationship with the other Rangers, especially in the Stranger Within two-parter when Vita was that vampire girl under Necrolize's power and possession. And Chip had to reason with Vita about their friendship and stuff, and he had very much chemistry with the other Rangers, and I actually liked that his personality up there with Dustin's, also with being one of those cool male Yellows of the group. Okay, so so now for my number 2, my second favorite Yellow Ranger. My favorite Yellow Ranger is gotta be one from the Zordon era, and one that was around near the end of the era. And of that is Ashley, the second Yellow Turbo Ranger, but she's definitely all yellow in space all the way. But I would say that, she didn't really have much to do during Turbo when she replaced Tanya in passing the torch, going all the way through. But when her, TJ, Cassie, and Carlos went up into space to chase after Divatox, but then run into Astronema, I would say Ashley had more fleshing out going forward for her during In Space, because that's when it was really her season, because Turbo, she had to share a costume, so In Space was definitely her costume and her season, her time to shine the most. And I actually liked it how In Space really fleshed out all of the Rangers, although TJ and Carlos didn't have much development, slightly as well as with Cassie. But Ashley was probably one of the highlightable Yellows on my list, and one of the most highlightable Yellow Rangers on my listing overall. And I really liked her development, her being the same old happy-go-lucky female Yellow, and BFFs with the opposite Pink Ranger. But I think her relationship with Andros, the Red Ranger, was the shining point of her character and her development. Her relationship was one of the few highlights about In Space and what made it so great. And also, You know, there were so many good episodes about Ashley, except that grandma episode, which I'm not even going to delve into. But nevertheless, I really loved Ashley, and I'm glad she's on my top list here at number 2. And because there's just no other Yellow Ranger like her. While Maya may be in the bottom of my list, Ashley's at the top of my list. Obviously, number 1 is Trini, the original yellow Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, and so therefore Trini has to be a number 1 Yellow Ranger. And, you know, for all things considered, though, Trini may have not been the most developed of the original Mighty Morphin in the original 6, but her friendship with Kimberly, her translating Billy's technobabble when he has so many highly sophisticated wordings he says. Then when it comes to, you know, basically Trini was like pretty much everybody from the group rolled into one character, because, you know, again, when you're the Yellow Ranger, you just don't really have much of a character. You're just only there, you're just like the backup, the linebacker, the bench warmer of the team, you know. But Trini was far from being a bench warmer and stuff. She was just as interested in martial arts like Jason, and very gymnastic like Kimberly, and very life of the party like Zach, and very strategic and smart like Billy. I don't know if she had any character traits she borrowed from Tommy, so I can't really say otherwise with that. But I really liked it how she was, you know, she was one of the most boldest, kindest Yellow Rangers we had in the franchise. And I know that she may have not had that many focus episodes during season 1 and season 2 before she left, but she really actually was one of the most self-defining characters we had in the original group. And I know it's very hard to see how Trini is now outside of, you know, of the Mighty Morphin era, given that her and Zach may probably still be doing the peace conferencing still, or they've long moved on past that. But we don't know what the character's doing. But we already know that her actress, Tui Trang, sadly passed away 20 years ago. But it's just, again, we can't think that the character is just as dead as her actress. No, but her actress may be gone, but her character will probably still remain in some spiritual form, only in that saber-toothed tiger helmet and suit. And that's all I can say. But, well, everybody may love Kimberly so much, but what about Trini? I mean, come on, man. I mean, Trini was probably one of the reasons why I got into Asian women in the first place, because it's just, you know, I just think Trini's just as beautiful as Kimberly, okay? And, you know, so take it if you will. So those are my top 10 Yellow Rangers from Power Rangers. Okay, now I know I may have not chose Yellow Rangers like Kira or Summer. Okay, well, Summer was okay, but I wanted to put her on the top 10 list, but I got sidetracked because there's just so many yellow, you know, especially so many female yellows we had, ranging from Trini to Zoe and whatever the next Power Rangers will be after Dino Fury if we get a yellow female member. I didn't want to choose any of the other like ancillary versions of the Yellow Ranger from Mighty Morphin. I mean, well, Aisha was okay, but I had to put Tanya on the list instead. I didn't want to put Psycho Yellow, if that's a little bit of an optionable, but I would put her as an evil, you know, for one of my top few favorite evil Rangers or something like that. I didn't even want to put the 2017 movie Trini on the list. I didn't want to put all these other Yellow Rangers we had on the list, male and female. There's just been so many of them. Ronnie, Kira, Calvin, and all those yellows I wish I could have put on this list as well, but there's just been so many of them. And while we had more of girls in the yellow suit, but there hasn't been that many guys to put in the yellow suit. Even the SPD A Squad Yellow Ranger, you know, but there wasn't really much you can give him, so I can't put him on the list because there isn't really anything defining about his character other than he was just part of the A Squad. So what do you think of my top 10? What do you think of my top 10 Yellow Rangers? Next time, I'm going to come back with my top 10, as promised, Mighty Morphin Season 1 monsters. Tune in next week or next time for that.